Hello, guys. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for subscribing and liking my videos. All my returning subscribers and my new subscribers, thank you so very much. Continue to like, share, and subscribe. Now, let's jump into this video. As the title suggests today, guys, I will be talking about my trip around East Africa that I had done this summer. So let's get started. For those who don't know me, let me tell you a bit about myself first and what I do, and then we can begin. So, my name is Pamela Stanford. I am from Barbados. Barbados is in the Caribbean, a small, beautiful island in the Caribbean, and I am a solo traveler. I love to travel. Currently, I am in China. I'm a teacher in China, teaching university students here in China. Um, and recently, I went back to my country, Barbados. Now, I have been working in China for the past 5 years without leaving China to go back to Barbados. So in January, last January, I went back to my country to visit my family and friends, to spend some time with your loved ones. And I spent 6 months there. Now, while I was there, my birthday is in February. So I decided, I wanted to do something different. So I went on a cruise around the Caribbean. So, yes, we have cruises out of Barbados um, during the months of November till about mid-April. You can get a cruise in and out of Barbados. That means you can board from Barbados and you can return back to Barbados. So I did it was 11 days. Yes, 11 days cruise around the Caribbean. I went to 8 countries, guys, and I paid around 1,000 US dollars. I paid that much because I was alone. I had a cabin for myself. So I had a ocean view cabin, very nice. And I will put a picture here for you guys so you can see. And yeah, so I went to 8 Caribbean countries. It was so much fun, so much fun. So if you want to just relax before any hustle and bustles of going through airports and, having your breakfast, lunch, and dinner prepared for you. You don't have to think about unpacking or repacking and stuff like that. A cruise would be your best bet. And out of the Caribbean, you can find some pretty reasonable cruises. Now to go on talking, let us go on talking about why we are here. Yes. So after I came back from my cruise, I spent some more time in my country. And in the summer, I went to East Africa. I left Barbados July the 4th. Yes, it was around July the 4th. And I flew to London. And from London, I made my way to East Africa. So I want to tell you guys how I did it on a budget. Yes, on a budget. I only had 3,000 US dollars and I wanted to visit at least four East African countries: Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Uganda. And I managed to visit all four countries on a budget and still had money left back. So I want to take you step by step, how I've done this and what was my breakdown cost for each country. And guys, as you see me glancing from time to time at my notes, I want to make sure that I have accurate information for you. I want to make sure that I remember everything to tell you and how you can do these things just like me, traveling from the Caribbean or from anywhere in the world, to Africa. So let's get into it. First, before we start, I will let you know that going to these countries, all the countries I've been to in this trip, is visa free for me. Yes, I don't need a visa for these countries. Now, Barbados have, we are visa free at least about 166 destinations around the world. So we don't need a visa for these countries. So the process of um, getting visas, the hassle, and all of that was eliminated for me. So that was a big plus on my part. So, yes, so let's begin. So, from Barbados, I flew to London. Now, flying anywhere from out of the Caribbean is very expensive. Anyone who is living in the Caribbean knows this. So, this was my biggest expense getting to Africa. Now, the budget I'm speaking about, which was 3,000 US dollars, that does not include the airfare from to and from Africa. Okay, so let's go. And if there's anything that I forget, you can feel free to, comment below, and ask me any questions. I am here to answer you as best as I can. I also will let you know some things that I do along the way while I was there. When I travel to any country, because I'm a solo traveler, I've been to about 50 countries around the world. So when I travel to any country, I like to immerse myself in the local culture. I like to be a local for the duration of the time that I am there. So I tend to avoid a lot of touristic places, So I'm really there to see what the country offers, what they have to offer, and just fully immerse myself. That is me. So yes, so let's go. So as I said before, I'm visa free in these countries, and when you're traveling to Africa, guys, things that I needed when I went there. So I want to just make sure and confirm. Um, some countries ask for an onward ticket. This means that, guys, you need to have a ticket in these countries to show that your flight, that you're leaving the country at a certain time. So yeah, um, and it was a bit challenging for me because I went there and I didn't had a definite plan on when I want to leave each country. I just wanted to go with the flow. So it was a bit tough, but I was able to manage it by some wheeling and dealing. And you can comment and ask me how I did it, and I would mention it to you, but I would not mention it here on the video. Yes, so you need an onward flight to show them that yes, you're going to leave their country and you're not there forever, right? And some countries also asked me for the yellow fever card. So I had my yellow fever shots before I left Barbados to go to Africa. So make sure that you have your yellow fever shots, guys, your yellow fever shot. Yes, and show this card when it's asked in these African countries. I didn't take the malaria medication. It was advised that I should take it in case I go into any area where there is a high malaria risk. But I didn't have any plans on going into any jungles or where there would be malaria. So I decided not to um, take the malaria test, um, the malaria medication. Yes, guys, but that doesn't mean that I'm advising you not to do this. This is totally up to you, guys. What your decision is your decision. Do what is best for you. I did what is best for me and it worked out fine. It may not work out fine for you. So guys, make that best decision to suit you. But for me, I did not take any malaria medication. Right. So let's start. So I flew into London. Now, from London, I flew to Dubai. Now, I was checking the cheapest routes to get to Kenya because Kenya was my first destination. So, my cheapest route would be I did flying directly into Kenya from Heathrow Airport because I flew into Heathrow from Barbados. Um, right, so that would be my first would be to fly into Nairobi, but I found that it was a bit expensive. And let us backtrack a bit, guys. I forgot to mention to you the price I paid, and all the prices that I'm going to give you guys will be in US dollars. So to fly from Barbados to London in July, remember I left in July 4th, I paid $688.40 US. So that is how much I paid to get from Barbados to London one way. One way. I did not had a round trip ticket because I wasn't sure when I'm gonna come back or anything like that. Now when I got to Heathrow, I flew from London to Dubai to Nairobi. Now I spent 4 days in Dubai. It was cheaper for me to fly this way than to go directly from London into Nairobi. So to go from London to Dubai, spend 4 days there, and then on to Nairobi, I paid $814.48. 814.48. No, as I had said before, I had a budget of 3,000 US dollars. So in each country I've been to, I allotted, a budget that I would spend, there in this country, and I didn't go over the budget. Actually, I went under the budget for each country. So for Dubai, I stayed at the Ibis Styles Hotel, which is near to the airport, the Dubai airport. I stayed there for 4 days, guys, and my total cost, overall cost for the hotel for 4 days, 3 nights was $106 US dollars and 53 cents. Yes, 106.53. Dubai is not as expensive as people make it out to be, but your expense and my expense is two different things. You know, um, the hotel I had free breakfast, very new, nice hotel. You know, I'll put a picture of the room here so you can see. And for more information, guys, and see more videos and photos of my trip, you can go onto my Facebook page under my name, Pamela Stanford, and you can scroll through and see, my trip to Africa, including Dubai. So for the 4 days, places I visited um were like the Dubai Mall, which is free. The famous Dubai Mall, the Dubai Fountain show, which is also free, unless you go and see the fountain by boat to get a closer view. But there was no need to do that. You can just stand up right there on the side of the street and just see the fountain. Go, I'm recovering from a cold, so please bear with me. Um, I did a Dubai city tour where I toured the old and the new Dubai. So places that I saw were, but not limited to, Dubai Marina. I see the Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building in the world. I went across the Dubai Creek on a small boat, and I visited the souks, um, the spice and the gold souks there. And it was a 5.5 hours tour, guys, and I paid for that tour 37 US dollars and 5 cents, 37.05 for this 5 hour tour. It did not include lunch or anything like that, but it was a good tour. It was with a company called ABC Tours, you know, and it was good. It was okay. I also n- note also I went to Arabian tea house restaurant and cafe. I wanted to try something really, really authentic. Each country I go to, I want to try the authentic food. But Dubai is very diverse, where you have all kinds of people there. So it claims that there's no really authentic food there. But I found this Arabian tea house. Actually, it was recommended to me, and the hummus. I tried the hummus there. They were to die for. I love this place. So definitely I will go back to Dubai. But warning, the summertime is so hot. It's so hot in the summer. You know. I had a budget for Dubai of 100 US dollars that I wanted to spend. And this include the tours and my food, not the hotel. So I spent just like a 100 US there. And this include food for the 4 days. Remember, breakfast at the hotel was free, and also my tour ticket around the city and taxi fare. So yes, I was able to spend just 100 US dollars in Dubai for those 4 days. Okay, so let's move on now to Kenya. Kenya, the pride of Africa. I really, really enjoyed my time in Kenya. I spent about 36 days. Yes, in total, 36 days in Kenya. So I flew into Nairobi. Now, my whole entire budget for Kenya was 900 US dollars. And I only spent 800 US dollars for those 36 days. Ask me how I do it. I don't know, but I did. And I did so many things. So I arrived in Nairobi from Dubai, and I stayed at an Airbnb, and the total cost of the Airbnb for 4 days in Nairobi was 136 US dollars and 94 cents. So not Dubai, Nairobi was experiencing cold. Um, they were experiencing the winter, yeah, something like that in the summertime for me. Imagine that, and I was so pretty cold. So I ought to go to Mombasa for the rest of my time. Now, Mombasa is the second largest city in Kenya, and it's very tropical, like my country, Barbados, and it also have the beaches and stuff there. So it was better for me being in Mombasa than Nairobi. But while I was in Nairobi for that 4 days, I stayed in an area called Kilimani, near Yaya Center, and I booked a Airbnb experience to get the lay of the land. So every time I visit a country, guys, I would book a tour. I would choose my tour guys very carefully because I'm not just looking for a tour, but I looking for information, background information on what to do, things they can do, as a local, because as I said, I don't like to play the tourist. Yes, guys, as I said, I look for a authentic local experience. So I booked this tour. It's called the Maasai Market Tour. I paid $10, and I chose this really, really awesome tour guide called Eric. He was a perfect match for me. A match in the fact that he is an entrepreneur just like myself. He's into, social enterprise, and he is very knowledgeable. He's very warm and welcoming. He really, not he didn't only just take me to the Maasai market on a tour, but he gave me a really um great authentic experience, of what life would be like in Kenya as a local, from a local's perspective, I should say. Yeah, so we just bonded from there, and he was able to help me, navigate the streets of Nairobi, what things to do, what not to do, what to stay away from, and stuff like that. Me as a female solo traveler, I need to be as cautious as possible, make sure that, I minimize all risks out there. So Eric, he was the perfect person for me. And business wise, I was able to discuss a lot of business opportunities with Eric, you know, so I looking forward to partnering with Eric in the future, and I would put his link in the description box so that if you ever go to Nairobi, guys, in our Kenya on a whole, you can contact Eric. He is your guy there. I'm telling you, he's a very nice, kind guy and very responsible and reliable. So let's continue to go on. So I moved to Mombasa. So I flew from Nairobi after the 4 days into Mombasa by air, and I spent $69 for a one-way ticket to Mombasa. It takes only 1 hour flight to get there. Now I stayed in Mombasa for 28 days. Remember, I said I stayed in Kenya on a whole for 36 days, but in Mombasa alone, I spent 28 days, and my total Airbnbs there was 393 US dollars and 48 cents. That's the average about 14 US dollars a day. Now I stayed in like 3 or 4 different Airbnbs in different areas to get a different feel of different areas in Mombasa, such as Bamburi, Niali. Um, I stayed with a friend in Vupingo. Now I met this really nice lady, Melanie. Melanie, thank you so much. Melanie invited me to her home. A total stranger invited you to her home to spend 1 week with her. So I went to spend 1 week with her there, and I had a fantastic time with Melanie. Melanie, thank you so much. So much. I'm looking forward for you to come into China soon. Now, in Mombasa, I took a lot of public transportation, such as the matatus. Matatus is like, or matatus, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. It is similar to what we call Zara vans in Barbados, and this is all public transportation. And there's also tuk-tuks that you can also use, which is more on personal um, one-on-one level where you can just pay for a tuk-tuk for yourself, or share it with someone else. And transportation is very cheap in Kenya. Now, to eliminate your cost, your budget, to keep your budget down, I should say, not to eliminate, because you still have to have costs, but to keep your budget down, in Africa, and you have to, you, what should I say? Many people come to Africa because they want to see the safari. I was not interested in that, seeing one animal is like seeing it all for me. So I know people will argue about this, but I wasn't so interested in going to safaris. Safaris are expensive, and that is where you will not be, you know, um, being able to save a lot of money if you decide, to go on these safaris, especially if you're looking for a nice, comfortable safari. Right, so I did not go to the Masai Mara, which is the most popular safari known in Kenya. There are some other safari places as well there, but many people would be talking about the Masai Mara, so I didn't go there. um I ought to do like local stuff. So things that I did was like visited Hollow Park, which is like a zoo. So I saw a lot of animals there. So I didn't feel like I missed the safari. I went to Fort Jesus. I went to a place called Malindi and Watamo. So yeah, there's so much to do in Mombasa, guys. I went to many restaurants. I tried really nice restaurants that some locals would think would be expensive, but coming from Barbados, beer is very expensive. I found there was it was not expensive for me, I should say. And I also went sailing, guys. I rented a yacht and I got some friends and we went sailing together. So guys, so after I left Mombasa, I returned to Nairobi by train and I took the train. I took 5 hours from Mombasa to Nairobi, but it was a very comfortable ride because I booked first class, and first class was like the ticket was like 21 US dollars, and in the first class you have restaurant, you have a bar, you can sit, you can drink, you can eat, and or just sit in your seat and just pass the time. And also looking out the windows, you're seeing animals as you pass, as yeah, along the way. So it's really scenic and nice, and there's very nice landscapes in Kenya. So it wasn't, uncomfortable or anything like that. So yeah, I went back via the train. Now when I went back to Nairobi, I spent a extra 4 days, 4 more days there, where I visited Nairobi National Park. So I did have a safari. So the national park is in Nairobi. Um, so I didn't have to drive all the way to the Masai Mara, because to get there to the Masai Mara, I think it took like almost 5 hours to get there from Nairobi, and I hate long drives. 5 hours going, 5 hours back. No. So I opt to go to the because I had to at least see some kind of safari. So I went to the national park and I saw some animals, guys. So it was okay, it was fine. At the park, I paid 65 US dollars. Yes, 65 US dollars there um, for the game drive. Yeah. So I also did another tour with Erick. It's called the Kibera Slum Store. Again, I will put the description there for you guys. And this slum tour was very interesting. Kibera is the biggest slums in Africa, one of the biggest slums in Africa, and I got to walk through Kibera with Eric as he guided me along and narrate for me, you know, the everyday life in Kibera, see how the locals live and stuff. It's very interesting and eye opening, and a nice tour to go on. And I felt very, very safe with Eric. No. While I was in Nairobi the second time, I shared an Airbnb with a friend, and my cost was $68.47 for my half because we split the cost. Right. So this was the end of my Kenya trip. So I just put some photos here in our videos so that you can get some memories of my. You can share some memories of my trip. Welcome, guys, to the brain of Africa, Tanzania, or is it Tanzania? However, it's pronounced. I had a wonderful, wonderful time. So, guys, I flew from Nairobi into Dar es Salaam. So, I paid 130 US dollars, thereabouts, for the flight there. It took about an hour and a half or 2 hours. I can't remember right now, but it was less than 2 hours, I think. Yeah, it was less than 2 hours. It wasn't far away, and I stayed at an Airbnb for around 115 US dollars and 27 cents for my half because from Tanzania now I was traveling with a friend and we were sharing costs, right? So we would book a two-bedroom, two-bathroom Airbnb, and they split the costs. When I arrived in Dar es Salaam, we first were staying in the area called Masaki, right? This area is very touristy, is very old and very expensive. So I didn't like the Airbnb that we had, so we changed it and went to a different area, which was much nicer. So in Dar es Salaam, I went on a free walking tour. um, so you can Google free walking tours, and you just tip your guide. So we tip our guide, and it was a wonderful walking tour of the city. Um, while we were there, we went to Zanzibar on a ferry. So we took the ferry from Dar es Salaam to Zanzibar, and the ferry costs 35 US dollars each way. So it took like two and a half hours or 2 hours and 45 minutes around there to get to Zanzibar. And Zanzibar, guys, is a vibe. I stayed in Stone Town in Zanzibar and had a wonderful, wonderful time. Now, we only went to Zanzibar for 3 days out of those 7 days that we spent in Tanzania. So the hotel there was on average of like 20 US dollars a night. So cost was very cheap. Now, my budget for Tanzania on a whole, including Dar es Salaam and Zanzibar, was 500 US dollars, and I spent only 380 US dollars. And that include everything I did in Dar es Salaam and Zanzibar. So in Zanzibar, I went to the Foreign Dandy night market, and that night market is free. You can walk around and see different activities there and things to eat and stuff you can buy, taste the local foods. So that was good. I went to Prison Island. I've been on a tour there, and also to a sandbank, which is not far from Prison Island. And I will also put it in the description so you can see the name of the sandbank. Now that tour cost me like $14.17. Yes, to go to the Prison Island and the sandbank, because we met two other ladies and we came together, four of us, and we negotiated and got a price $14.17 per person. Yeah. The next day we went to a spice farm tour and we paid $7.50 for that tour. So the total I spent in Zanzibar, which included my tour, my accommodation, and food, was 195 US dollars. So 195 US dollars, and the balance of that 380. Remember, I spent 380 total in Tanzania. So if you take 195 from the 380, what balance you get is what I spent in Dar es Salaam. Now, we took public transportation, the tuk-tuk, and also, calling personal tuk-tuks, which was like, we didn't have to share it with, other people or anything like that. um just like Kenya, their language there is English and Swahili, so it was very easy to be understood. you know um we find people speaking English, of course, in both countries, more so in Kenya, but we didn't have any problems getting around or doing anything. We did not go to the Serengeti, which is the big safari national park in Tanzania, which is known for the Big Five. And if you don't know what is the Big Five are the elephant, lion, leopard, buffalo, and the rhino. So we didn't go there. Remember, I'm keeping my costs down. This is a budget, guys. So yes, I had a blast in Zanzibar and also Tanzania on a whole. And you can see my memories of my time in Tanzania. Such wonderful memories I will cherish forever. Now, let us move on because I don't want this to be a long video. So, from Tanzania, we moved to Uganda, the pearl of Africa. Uganda is beautiful. In fact, each country we went to is very beautiful. Uh, there's no words to describe, Africa. And this was my first time in Africa, and I was blown away. Africa is not what that media what the media out there is showing us. There's so much Africa is beautiful, Africa is rich, Africa is vibrant, Africa is full of life, Africa have friendly people. I made so many great friends in Africa, so many great friends. Right, so let's talk about Uganda. Now, my budget for Uganda was $500 US, and I spent 370 US dollars for my 9 days in Uganda. So I spent 9 days in Uganda, and I stayed at a very, very nice Airbnb. It was a detached house, and it cost for my half 131 US dollars and 96 cents. Such a lovely host, such a lovely host. I had a really, really good time there. Now, my Airbnb was in the area called Yaba, which is in Kapala, and a walking distance to Lake Victoria. So it was in a really nice, quiet area. I had a wonderful time there. Things I did there was I went to church. I went sailing on Lake Victoria, of course. I went to downtown, and downtown is so chaotic, so much traffic in Uganda, especially with the motorbikes. My God, so much traffic. So yeah, and one of the great highlights for me on my trip to Uganda was going to Jinja. Now Jinja is a one of the cities in um, Uganda, and I wanted to see the River Nile. This is where you will find the source of the River Nile. So I wanted to see that. So I did a day trip to Ginger, and it cost me around $80. Yeah, per person, 80 US dollars. And it took about 2 to 3 hours each way. So it's a long drive, but well worth the trip. As I dipped my hands in the river Nile, it was so surreal for me, you know. Um After I came back from Jinja, we spent a couple of more days in Gaba, meet some awesome people there, and I moved closer to the airport, Entebbe Airport. So I visited the zoo there and some malls there in Tibet. I wanted that when I moved to my next destination, I wasn't so very far from the airport. So I spent like 2 extra days there near at an Airbnb near the airport in Tibet. Uh, I use motorcycle and Uber in Uganda. Uganda is breathtaking. It's so beautiful. I always wanted to visit Uganda, and I just thank God that I was able to see Uganda. I was able to see Tanzania and even Kenya. I had a wonderful time. So, guys, I want to share my pictures, my memories of my time in Uganda. So, do enjoy. So, guys, time, my trip is winding down, and I'm on to my last country now, Rwanda, the land of 1,000 hills. And hills there are, it's not flat like my country, Barbados. So many hills. So in Rwanda, I spent 22 days there. I had a budget of 1,000 US dollars, but I only spent 690 US dollars. Now, um, I found a airfare from Uganda to Kigali was a bit expensive. I paid like 280 US dollars to fly there. Um, I stayed at a guest house, a really nice guest house, with beautiful owners. They were really, really nice. I had a very big room, and the staff there was so helpful. It's so very helpful, and I made a lot of friends here in Rwanda. If you had to ask me what was the highlight of my trip to Rwanda, I would tell you meeting two lovely ladies, Joseline and, and Rosine. I miss you. These two ladies are my sisters. I consider them my sisters. Um, I can't wait to see them again. I'm looking forward to seeing them. Now, I find getting around in Kigali is very expensive. Taxis are very expensive. The cheapest form of getting around is on the motorbikes, but I know many people would not like the motorbikes because they can find them to be very dangerous. And if you go long distances and you're like me, your back hurts. So, for me, it wasn't very comfortable taking bikes all the time, but trust me, transportation compared to compared to Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, Rwanda transportation is so very expensive. Now, while I was there, I visited a women's center in Kigali, and I did a community tour and had lunch, and I paid $20 for that tour including lunch, and lunch was with a local family cooking for you. So that was very nice, very authentic. Just what I like. I tried many great restaurants in Rwanda. Now Kigali is very very clean, but I didn't find that they don't have much entertainment. Sorry, I should say, they didn't really have much entertainment. The highlight in Rwanda, when people talk about it, they talk about going gorilla trekking, and a gorilla trekking permit is 1,500 US dollars. 1,500, and that's just for the permit. You still have to pay for the tour, going on the tour and stuff, transportation, your guide and stuff like that. So unless I can bring home the gorilla with me and keeping the gorilla and the gorilla can walk and talk, I will not pay that kind of money. That's me personally. My family call me, it's with my sisters. They said I'm very cheap. I don't think I'm cheap, know. And conservative, right? So I visited Lake Kivu. I love Lake Kivu. It's so breathtaking. So I met two ladies and went on a 3-day trip, and my total expense to Lake Kivu was 58 US dollars and 11 cents. That include accommodation, gas, and food, because one of the ladies, she drove, so we had to help put in gas and stuff like that. So yeah, but for the overall time there for those 3 days, it was just 58 US dollars. Imagine that. Barbados. Okay, so it took like 4 hours each way, to Lake Kivu. Also, while I was in Rwanda, I had my braids um, undone. I had my hair washed because I have lots. I had my hair rebraided with new braids, and this include the braids, buying new braids, and braiding my hair, washing my braiding the new braids, taking off my old braids, and washing my hair. And I paid like 25 US dollars included the braids. I would never pay that less in Barbados. No, no, no. First, you have to buy your own braids in Barbados. You can get a braided done like 80 Barbados dollars, which is like 40 US dollars and up, and definitely have to pay to get it washed. or wash it yourself if you don't want to pay. So Africa is certainly so inexpensive when compared to Barbados and many countries I've been in. Now, I as I said, I had a budget of 3,000, but after I traveled to Kenya, I went to Tanzania, Uganda, and then to Rwanda. I had 660 US dollars left back from that 3,000, and I returned to Kenya. I returned to Kenya because one, one of the reasons I came to Africa was I was looking for what business opportunities I can find in Africa. I'm an entrepreneur. And two, I was looking to go back into China, and I was waiting for some paperwork to be finished so that I can go directly from um Kenya into China, but that did not work out. But anyhow, I returned to Kenya for with my 660 US dollars, and I flew to Kigali, from Kigali, sorry, I flew from Kigali to Mombasa, spent 21 days between Mombasa and Nairobi. While I was in Mombasa, I visited the famous Diani Beach. So I went to Diani, which is one of the major beaches on the Indian Ocean, of Kenya. And I took a private car there. It cost me about 50 US dollars with hard negotiation. Yes, I had to negotiate very hard for that price. So $50 um, for the total cost round trip by a private car, and it took about 1.5 hours each way to get there. Now I stayed in Diani Beach for 3 days, and my Airbnb cost me $63.91. Yes. So things I did in Diani Beach was I went to the visit the famous beach, of course. I went dining. I was looking for land for sale. So that is a separate video. Will come later on, and after that I took a flight back to Nairobi from Mombasa to check out some business opportunities there. And as I said, the flight was like for 1 hour. So yeah, this sums up my trip around East Africa. Um from Nairobi, I flew back to Barbados was because I had to get some paperwork done in my country to enter back into China. So I flew from to Barbados, from Nairobi to New York, then New York to Barbados. So that cost me like 1,572 um US dollars, yes. Well, 1,572 US dollars from Nairobi to Barbados via New York. So I will just put here on the video, I will put an estimate of my budget and my spending and what I excluded, because some of the budget, excluded hotel and airfare. You know, when I called the budget, remember I had a budget of 3,000 US dollars, and then I had a overall budget for each country I went into. So I will put the countries, the days I spent in the countries, so you can see the projected budget, how much I spent, there and what was excluded in that money so you can have an overall idea. So going to Africa is definitely not expensive, guys. I spent over 3 months in East Africa, and I had a ball. I met some great friends for life. I'm looking forward to going visit in Africa again. I want to go back to Kenya in the summertime next summer. Hopefully that will work out. I also want to take a group to Africa with me at some point of time, and I also want to visit West Africa, which I heard is much more expensive than East Africa, but we'll see. I want to visit Ghana, um, Gambia, Senegal, and maybe Nigeria. I think my passport, I need a visa for Nigeria, so maybe I'll skip that one. I don't want any hassle, guys. All visa free for me along the way. So thank you guys very much for watching. Enjoy my pictures and videos of the countries I went to, and I'm looking forward to hear your comments, your questions, and answering them for you. Continue to subscribe and like and share my videos, and you know I'll see you soon in my next video. So goodbye.